करते हैं आज के फंड मैनेजर शो में। राजेश कोठारी हमारे बहुत अच्छे मित्र और एक काबिल फंड मैनेजर अपना एआईएफ और पीएमएस कारोबार बढ़ा रहे हैं और अल्फा एक्यूरेट को चला रहे हैं कुछ सालों से। राजेश, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। ईटी नाउ स्वदेश में इस बार आपसे बहुत दिनों बाद बात हो रही है। आप तो मिड कैप स्टॉक पिकिंग में एक्सपर्ट हैं। आपने लास्ट कुछ हफ्तों में ये बताइए कि फंड फ्लोज जो कि अच्छे हैं आपके स्कीम से, मुझे पता है, कहाँ डिप्लॉय कर रहे हैं आप?
अजय, कोई बड़ा सेक्टर और आउटलुक में चेंजेस नहीं है। आई थिंक हम लास्ट 3 महीने पहले हमारी जो एक डिस्कशन हुई थी, 3 इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्टर्स जो हमें लग रहा है कि दे विल डू वेल। द फर्स्ट इज द स्पेशलिटी केमिकल सेक्टर, a sector which is very close to our heart. We have been tracking it very regularly. You know that it has been almost like 4 years we have been overweight on this sector. मुझे लग रहा है ये सेक्टर में आगे के 3 साल में भी आपको अच्छा अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ दिखाई देगा और therefore valuations will remain high. बैलेंस शीट बहुत स्ट्रांग है ये सब कंपनीज की, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि स्पेशलिटी केमिकल सेक्टर इज वन सेक्टर which will continue to do well. Second sector on which we are very positive almost from last 1 year is the capital goods sector. In this sector, we distinguish between infrastructure companies and real capex plays. So we are not bullish on infrastructure companies, we are not bullish on construction companies, but we are bullish on capital goods companies where research and development, where the technology is the business mode. And the third sector, from the valuation perspective as well as from the growth perspective, which looks quite reasonable in my view with a good upside potential, is banking and finance. These are the three sectors on which you have been positive since last, if you ask me, last 3 to 6 months, continuing been positive in specialty chemical for 4 years. And if you ask me कि incrementally कौन सा sector अच्छा लग रहा है, then one sector which gets added to this list is the automobile sector. So these are the 4 sectors on which we are positive, continue to remain positive from here.
बात करते हैं क्योंकि वाकई में हम लास्ट 1 महीने में ये बात ट्रैक कर रहे हैं। बहुत सारे मीरे, बहुत सारे इनफैक्ट डीएसपी, आज भी सुबह, आज एम्बिट भी कह रहे थे सुबह कि ऑटो में इंक्रीजिंगली इंक्रीमेंटली उनको वैल्यूएशन कंफर्टेबल लग रहे हैं और लेना चालू कर दिया है। आप मुझे बताइए कि ऑटो में आप किस सेगमेंट में बेटर आपको लगता है, ऑटो एंसिलरीज या ओईएम? और ओईएम तो 2 व्हीलर, सीवीज, पैसेंजर व्हीकल, क्या खेलना बेटर रहेगा वैल्यूएशन के हिसाब से?
अजय, इसमें ऐसा है अजय दैट ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री, एंटायर इंडस्ट्री वाज इंपैक्टेड सीवियरली, whether it is a 2-wheeler, whether it is a passenger vehicle, whether it is a commercial vehicle, all 3 were impacted. Tractor was less impacted, but the worst impact was on commercial vehicle. So probably the best recovery would be commercial vehicle. Passenger vehicle will also do well, but वहां पे अभी भी semiconductor shortage issue और थोड़ा टाइम चलेगा शायद, but probably it is already priced in. So we are positive on Maruti. Kindly put a disclaimer. Whatever companies which may talk, we are holding in our PMS account for our clients or in personal capacity. So we like Maruti in passenger vehicle. मुझे लग रहा है कि 2-wheeler इंडस्ट्री में there is a lot of noise that वो EV का जो लोगों को डर है, तो PE multiples have derated, but वो EV कोई ये 2 दिन में नहीं आ जाएगा. And to write off the existing companies in 2-wheeler industry that this company will not able to compete with the new emerging companies in electric 2-wheeler, I don't think that's the right conclusion. That's not the right way to look at it. So I think even 2-wheeler industry, if you ask me, of course one needs to be company specific. That looks good. Within 2-wheeler, what we like is TVS Motor. Within passenger vehicle, what we like is Maruti. And within commercial vehicle, what we like is Ashok Leyland. You have asked the right question. What about auto ancillaries? This is a sector which we liked almost like, from last 10, 11 years, we always like auto ancillary. But of course, you need to be very, very selective. So in auto ancillaries, we like companies like Craftsman and we like companies like Minda Industry. So these are the companies which will not be adversely impacted because of change in technology. In fact, they are positive beneficiary as the content per vehicle goes up significantly. So these are the companies within auto and auto ancillaries on which we remain positive.
राइट राजेश, गुड आफ्टरनून। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका ईटीना स्वदेश पर। अपना बहुत ही अच्छे से आपने ब्रेक डाउन भी किए हैं सारे स्पेसेस में अपनी प्रेफर्ड पिक्स को। लेकिन अगर इसी स्पेस पर हम बात करें कि अगर व्हीकल्स की, कमर्शियल व्हीकल्स की, ऑटो कंपनियों की डिमांड बढ़ेगी तो क्या इससे जुड़े हुए ट्रांसपोर्ट फाइनेंस कंपनीज की भी यहाँ पर एक केस बन सकता है कि उन्हें देखा जाए? क्या आप भी मानते हैं कि हाँ वहाँ पर भी केस बनता है और वहाँ कुछ अच्छे स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो में ऐड किए जा सकते हैं?
Definitely. In fact, that remains always our preferred bet to play, even when auto industry is not doing that well. So, for example, we like Cholamandalam from quite some time, and it has been one of the large holding of our portfolio, from last so many years. So yes, transport finance will be also, positively impacted because that the volume growth will further lead to the better disbursement growth, the better demand growth. Also, one important thing I must tell you, since you ask about financing of the vehicles, the vehicle prices have gone up. So even if the volume growth is probably, if not 25%, but price growth is 25%. So value-wise growth is much higher. That directly benefits the companies like Cholamandalam because for them it is a AUM growth, So for companies like Chola, which have been proven very resilient in terms of the asset quality, the way they build the business model, and at the same time they are entering into the new fintech related kind of a businesses in a very prudent way to add the new growth levers to their business model. Definitely, we like that strategy, and it is a part of our core portfolio.
बिल्कुल राजेश जी, गुड आफ्टरनून। ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पर जिस तरह से हम देख रहे हैं सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक बाजार पर आप अपना नज़रिया बता रहे हैं, लेकिन साथ ही कमोडिटीज़ प्ले पर भी अपनी राय दीजिए, क्योंकि इन दिनों हम देख रहे हैं काफ़ी हद तक जो शुगर की अवेलेबिलिटी को लेकर कम कंसर्न्स नज़र आ रहे थे, उससे सरकार काफ़ी हद तक हरकत में आ चुकी है, कैप्स लगाना शुरू कर दिया है वीट को लेकर भी, और अब खबरें ये भी आ रही हैं कि राइस पर भी कैप्स लगना, राइस एक्सपोर्ट की जहां बात है, हो सकता है आने वाले दिनों में देखने को मिले। कमोडिटीज में एलिवेटेड एक्शन है, इसके चलते आप कैसे देख रहे हैं?
मुझे लग रहा है दैट commodities are always tactical play. They are always trade. You buy and you sell. And to us, I think that's very, very difficult because you can't catch the bottom and you can't catch the peaks, correct? Importantly, many of these commodity business fundamentals, they are linked to at times either cartelization or at times they are dependent on government tariff policy, not only India but the worldwide, and that changes your entire business fundamentals. So therefore, it is very difficult to predict such kind of a commodity companies fundamentals and the evaluation on the stocks. Having said that, if you ask me, last 12-18 months have seen significant jump in commodity prices. And as demand cools down, as Fed becomes against the inflation, I think from here on, I would rather bet on users of commodity rather than producers of commodity.
जी राजेश, ये बताइए कि ठीक है, ये आपकी बात एकदम सही है कि कमोडिटी एकदम टैक्टिकल प्ले होता है, पॉइंट ए टू पॉइंट बी, और शायद वो पॉइंट भी निकल गया, इसी 30-40% टॉप से स्टॉक भी नीचे हैं और एक्चुअल कमोडिटी प्राइस भी, सिर्फ ऑयल नीचे नहीं आया है, बाकी हर कमोडिटी लास्ट 1-1.5 महीने में 25 से 30% नीचे आ गई है। मैं आपसे आईटी के बारे में जानना चाहूँगा। आईटी के भी हम वैल्यूएशंस को देख रहे थे, पीक वैल्यूएशन, और अब 25% कंप्रेस हो गए हैं। क्या आईटी में री एंट्री का केस बनता है आपके हिसाब से, या अभी अर्ली होगा, बहुत जल्दी है, अभी थोड़ा और नीचे आ जाए? क्योंकि कंपेयर टू मेटल, आईटी तो थोड़ा और स्ट्रक्चरल है, राइट? इनके पास कैश फ्लो अच्छे हैं, इनके पास डिविडेंड अच्छा देते हैं, रेगुलर बायबैक करके आरओई बढ़ाते रहते हैं। क्या यहाँ से 5-10% और नीचे में आईटी नामों में आपको रुचि आएगी?
I think so. So you're absolutely right. So we have been underweight IT since last about 2, 3, 4 months. We have been not that bullish on IT because I think the valuation really became really extremely high, and everybody just drove the straight line. But life doesn't work like that. And IT is also, to an extent, of course, it is a less cyclical, but there is a cycles within the businesses. And probably the best of that cycle is already discounted in stock price much ahead of fundamentals, correct? So you might say the best of the earnings growth probably in 2023 will continue, but 2024 everybody has question marks. The valuation, however, now has corrected, and probably from that perspective, you are right. It makes sense to relook at IT, and of course you need to be very, very stock selective. You cannot pay 40, 50, 60 times price to earning multiple to mid-cap IT companies. To me, I think it is an absurd. Probably those are not sustainable. and I think the recent stock price correction is already showing that. So you need to buy the businesses within IT which are very, very solid, rock solid franchisee, which is a lesser risk of attrition, which can manage the cost inflation well, and which is a diversified revenue base with diversified customers. I think that will be very important thing. There are many IT companies which have probably a top 5 concentration is very high. Top 5 customers is the revenue concentration is very high. So if there is any slowdown, even by 1 customer or 2 customers, there can be a significant dent to their revenue estimates. So I need to be, I would say one need to be a little bit cautious about those kind of companies. Otherwise, IT looks good. But keep in mind, you need to make sure that you are paying the right valuation and you don't overpay. Because these are not, many IT companies started trading like FMCG companies, they started trading at 45 price to earning. And if I look at Unilever, India price to earning is about 45 times. I mean, it's an absurd, such valuations are never sustainable. So, be careful about the valuation and play selectively.
ऑल राइट राजेश, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आज हमसे बात करने के लिए और अपनी स्ट्रैटेजी डिस्कस करने के लिए।